are a sovereign country that has a functioning system. So I don't see what the racket is all about. Because as far as we're concerned, we're not members of the ICC anymore, and we submitted all of these things to the ICC out of committee, out of the principle of committee, and nothing more, nothing less. We do everything at our own pace in our own country. This is our country, not their country, not Khan's country, not the prosecutor's country. So we do everything here in accordance with what the rules and the laws of our country.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, ako po si Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Sean Yao. The big story tonight.
Justice Secretary Boying Remulla slammed ICC Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan for rejecting the Philippine government's call to stop the probe into the war on drugs.
Remulla says Khan is doing the ICC a disservice by challenging the country's system. Marlene Alcaide with the big story.
Here comes a foreigner who thinks that he knows the Philippines more than we do.
This was Justice Secretary Boying Remulla's reaction after the International Criminal Court rejected the Philippines' explanation on why the ICC should stop investigating the Duterte administration's war on drugs. ICC Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan maintained that while the Philippine government says that the country's justice system is working, they failed to sufficiently investigate drug war cases. Khan added that the administration submitted no concrete evidence to contradict the ICC's investigation. He also said that the ICC has jurisdiction over the Philippines and crimes under the war on drugs. Hence, the investigation should continue. But Remulla insists the government is still investigating other cases and that due process should be followed.
I hope that the ICC will know that Mr. Khan is doing them a great disservice by putting a challenge to our system here. Are they putting a challenge to our system here? This is our country, not their country. So we do everything here in accordance with what the rule.
Solicitor General Menardo Guevara meanwhile clarified that the ICC pretrial chamber has yet to rule on the matter. Since the Philippines is no longer part of the ICC, the OSG is still thinking if they will reply to the prosecutor's response. For News 5, Marlene Alcaide, we are One News.
Several parts of Davao City were flooded due to heavy rains brought by the southwest monsoon or the habagat. Jem Avancenia with the report.
River-like floodwaters welcome motorists in Laverna Hills, Buhangin, Davao City on Wednesday night. Some tried to cross the highway but to no avail. Others waited for the floodwaters to subside, causing traffic congestion for more than 2 hours. When the water started to subside, some vehicles were turned into motorboats. Laverna Hills is a low-lying area which serves as catch basin of water from nearby barangays. In San Isidro, Buhangin, we also found some vehicles stuck. Some residents were also seen evacuating. Several houses were submerged in 5 feet high floodwaters. Residents said they are used to such situation because they do not have a proper drainage system.
Ingani gina dire basta magulan mo baha.
Sa inyo ha, dili.
Para normal lang sa mga baha kay murag halos mo na siya magulan di sa muway nga anak mo gid ang tubig. Wala kay pasingon sa tubig.
Others opted to just enjoy the situation as if they were in a swimming pool. In Hillside Subdivision in Poblacion, some residents trapped in their homes were rescued.
Lalum na sir, oy! Nabutan na akong higdaan.
In some areas, rubber boats had to be used to transport people around. Other major streets in Davao City's downtown area were also flooded. The drainage canal along Rojas Avenue overflowed, and motorists passing by Diversion Road also had a hard time. The Davao City Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office said heavy rains from the southwest monsoon or habagat and localized thunderstorms caused the flooding in the city. For News 5, Jem Avancenia, we are One News.
Right after this quick break, the SIM card registration bill is only one step away from becoming a law. We'll talk about that and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
puts the BOT further behind the policy tightening that regional peers have delivered to tame inflation and stem currency weakness. The Monetary Committee says it will be flexible on future rates while reiterating a gradual approach to shield a fragile economic recovery. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has called for a single-digit interest rate increase by the end of the year. Rates have already been lowered to 12%, but Erdogan told CNN Turk to expect further cuts. That's despite economist warnings that rate hikes are needed to tame Turkey's surging inflation levels of more than 80%. Erdogan has long insisted that higher rates bring down inflation. A senior State Department official has told lawmakers that the U.S. and its allies are planning more sanctions against Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. James O'Brien told the Senate committee the measures will target sectors including finance, technology, human rights and energy. The EU is also proposing a new set of sanctions on Russia, including a price cap on crude sold to third countries.
This oil price cap will help reduce Russia's revenues on one hand, and it will keep the global market for energy stable on the other hand. So today, in this package here, we are laying the legal basis for this oil price cap.
North Korea fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles into waters off its east coast ahead of the U.S. Vice President's visit to the demilitarized zone that divides the peninsula. Kamala Harris is set to visit the DMZ later Thursday, the first senior Biden White House official to do so. The launch is North Korea's second this week and adds to the record number of ballistic missiles it has fired this year. Global news, 24 hours a day on air and on Bloomberg Quick Take, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Vonnie Quinn. This is Bloomberg.
Bear market rally. Here's the latest buzzword you may be hearing in markets. It's also known as a dead cat bounce. This is a sharp and rapid recovery in the price of things like stocks, bonds, or cryptocurrencies in the middle of a long-term downtrend. They can last days, or weeks, or months, and can be really dangerous traps for investors who are looking for the start of a real recovery, also known as a bull market. You can only really identify one of these with the benefit of
House Bill number 4488 is hereby approved on third and final reading.
The House of Representatives has approved the proposed 2023 national budget worth 5.268 trillion pesos. It hurdled the lower chamber on second and third reading on Wednesday. A total of 289 lawmakers were in favor of the spending bill, while 3 voted against it, specifically members of the Makabayan bloc. They said the budget does not prioritize programs for the marginalized sector.
Hindi inilaan ang pondo para sa direktang ayuda sa mamamayan at kinaltasan pa ang mga mahalagang programa ng DSWD at DOLE sa panahong hirap na hirap ang mamamayan.
Lubhang kulang din ang inilaang pondo para sa COVID-19 response. Taliwas sa sinasabi ng kasalukuyang administrasyon na papalakasin ang monitoring and surveillance capacity ng ating healthcare system.
The budget is now subject to individual amendments to be tackled by a so-called small committee. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Registering your SIM cards may soon become mandatory as the proposed SIM card registration bill is now up for the President's signature. But some Filipinos fear that this measure could be a threat to their privacy. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez gives us a front seat to the story.
Following its ratification, Senate Bill 1310, or the SIM card registration bill, now only needs President Bongbong Marcos's signature before becoming a law. Davao City Representative Toby Tiangco, who also chairs the House Committee on Information and Communications Technology, says all retail SIM cards will be deactivated once the law is passed.
It will only be activated upon your registration. Pumunta ka sa tindahan, bumili ka ng SIM, pagbebentahan ka, kaya lang hindi mo magagamit yung SIM na yun. Hanggang sa panahon na kumpletuhin mo yung registration mo, tsaka i-activate yung SIM na yun.
Tiangco adds that those with existing SIM cards should also have these registered.
Pupunta po kayo online, magsasubmit kayo ng isa sa mga valid government-issued IDs, mag-fill up kayo ng form, at pag na-register na yan, okay na yung SIM nyo. Pag hindi po kayo nag-register within 180 days, yung SIM nyo will be deactivated by the telco.
Filipinos may have as many SIM cards as they need, as long as they're all registered. Tiangco notes this move will be a huge help in tracking down individuals or groups involved in tech scams and phishing. However, many Filipinos express their reservation over the proposed measure.
Parang wala kang privacy sa bawat number na makakukuha natin eh. So alam mo na kung sino nagmamayari. Di ba?
Once this becomes a law, people who refuse to have their SIMs registered or those who register their SIMs under false information will face fines ranging from 100,000 to 1 million pesos. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
Will the proposed SIM card registration law finally see the light of day under Marcos Jr.? To share his insights with us, we have on the show technology editor and IT head of the Manila Bulletin, Art Samaniego. Art, welcome to the big story.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so this bill was vetoed the last time. I think it had largely to do with the fact that it also had the social media aspect to it. Now that that has been separated, Art, and it's just the SIM card registration bill, what do you think will happen moving forward? Do you think the president will sign it?
Yeah, it was vetoed 2 months after it was ratified by both Congress and Senate because of that inclusion of mandatory social media registration. So it was vetoed. Now that it was scrapped now, and eto nga talagang SIM card registration na lang. And I think the president will sign it into law. Because well, Senator Grace was right when she said we can do more than just ignoring, deleting, or blocking the numbers with the spams and the scam messages.
And to that point, Art, this is being framed, of course, as anti-scam, anti-crime. Yeah. This is something that we need, they're saying, for national security even, di ba? But at the same time, people are concerned about their privacy. Put that into perspective. How real is the risk that privacy could be compromised here?
So, dati kasi, if someone sent you a fraudulent message and you got scammed by it, you have no way of tracing that person because he's using a prepaid card. So dead end na siya. Now with this SIM card registration law, we will now have a lead kung sino yung nang-i-scam sa atin. So in terms of privacy, I'm ready to sacrifice a little of my privacy for security because there are a lot of scam victims who could not do anything even if they report to the law enforcement agencies kasi nga, wala, dead end na. The SIM card is prepaid and now it's now being registered, so meron na tayong hahabulin. So pwedeng magbenta yung mga naka-register na. Pero, ganun pa man, meron na nga tayong lead kung sino yung mga pupuntahan natin. And also, this bill prohibits spoofing. Spoofing is like pretending to be someone or you're changing the sender ID. This could be done by hackers and those who are into scamming. So, bawal na din siya and there's a fine of 300,000 pesos if you will do spoofing. So, makakatulong. This will not stop the crime of spamming and scamming using the text messages, pero it will help.
Pero yun nga yung tanong ko, Art, nabanggit mo yung spoofing. On the practicalities and the realities of technology, of how dynamic it is and how quickly it evolves and it changes, may butas ba to? Ay, in terms of kaya bang lusutan ng mga magagaling na hacker? And can they, the very fact that there's a penalty just in case you can hack your way around this, doesn't that basically suggest that there will be people who will find their way around this?
Hackers will have difficult time in doing their trade now. So what I'm seeing now is that these hackers will level up. They will up their game. So ngayon, they're sending SMS messages. But because of this law, they will be limited. Their actions will be limited. Pero they will level up. They will be using voice. I can see it now. It's growing problem. They will be phishing. Now it's smishing. Next, there will be phishing. Voice phishing.
Actually, Art, yan nga yung gusto ko itanong sa'yo eh. Since, let's say, kasado na to, na-sign na, okay? So, let's say, mag-lessen nga itong mga smishing scams, right? So, saan naman sila pupunta? Because tinanggal yung social media registration aspect. Could that be another loophole? As Robbie was saying, ang daming butas. Let's say, wala dito mismo yung butas, but they'll find other ways kasi napaka-resourceful ng mga hacker. So, paano yun? Since nawala nga yung other aspect, yung rider nitong law, nung original law, what do consumers have to watch out for next?
No. We need to watch out for phishing. So these people will pretend to be from the bank, they will pretend to be from the government, and they will pretend to be your family members. So when you receive these kinds of call and you don't recognize the number, don't give anything. Parang din yan sa smishing. Do not give anything, do not click anything, or if that person calling you says, puntahan mo tong link na to, don't go. So there will be another bill that will be passed. This is about the social media registration naman. So I think Senator Lito Lapid is doing something about it. Pero this time I will disagree with this one because social media needs to have a sense of anonymity for some people. So like the activists, LGBT community. Because they will be attacked. Yeah.
And precisely, Art, diba, that was the reason precisely why this bill was vetoed by President Duterte. In any case, that's another can of worms. I will probably be talking about that at some point in the future. But I do want to have one last question, again, on the practicalities of implementing this SIM card registration act. Doon sa process of us registering. Yesterday, we were talking with Congressman Toby Chanco, and sinabi niya there will be systems for online registration of SIM cards. How robust and how in place and how perfected are our online Know Your Client systems? We know banks have had trouble with that. Can the telcos handle hundreds of millions of online registration where they can be confident that they know the client?
I talked with the telco about this one, and they're really supportive with this law. Pero yun nga, the telco is not trained to know if the ID is fake or not. So that would be one problem. Pero naiwasan na yung first problem we're in, people would fill up a form and then submit it to the telco. So wala na yon. Another, yung source ng leak na yun, pwede na mawala. So diretso na online yung mga tao. The problem is, during the verification process, how will they verify the ID? Kasi kasama doon government-issued ID. So that would be one of the problems.
Okay, maraming salamat, Art. Manila Bulletin Technology Editor, Art Samaniego.
We will be back with more stories after another quick break. Keep it here on One News.
Sa mga weekend warrior tulad ko, 2 oras lamang mula sa Metro Manila, mararating mo na itong mala-probinsyang eksena.
Tuloy-tuloy lang. Tayo ka na dyan, kaibigan. Ako'y sabayan, halina. Pag-asa ang ating sandigan. Sigurado tayo dyan. Pupusta ko, pare kaya mo ba?
Susuyurin, ano pang lalakbayin. Life? 10 years from now. Okay, game na. Okay, no, hindi, wala lang. si Heidi Lane, iyak ako na iyak. Fulfillment yun of vision na binigay ni Lord.
Itik 1, itik 2, itik 3.
Yung asawa po ninyo?
Ayun ay single man na ako.
Oh, masaya na. Bago sila mag-invite ng mga bisita, gusto nila na harmonious yung relationship ng environment tsaka ng agriculture sa tourism. So yung ganong perspective, mapadagat man, mapabukid man, makakatulong yan sa tunay na pag-unlad ng La Union.
Iniwan ka na.
Sinakwera ko na.
Oy, ganyan talaga. Pag dalawa talaga ang babae mo, iiwanan ka talaga nun.
Tayo papayag na hindi mapuntahan itong isa sa mga tinatagong yaman ng La Union. Kable.
As a security sir, maluwang yung niro-ruling ko tapos mahirap yung pagpunta ko sa trabaho ko, medyo malayo sa bahay. Service po sa school po.
Sasakay kami nitong Black Hawk helicopter. Nais nilang ipakilala ang ibang mukha ng hulo, hindi lang sa mga dayo, kundi pati sa mga kabataan nito. We are at the center of the Bible story, right here in the old city of Jerusalem. And behind me is the area where Jesus spent the last days of his life. Hindi pwedeng pa lusog. Parang kulang pa sa training yung mga kami. Nasa edge kami. Pagka nahulog kami, doon kami babagsak sa bangin.
Tuloy-tuloy lang ang biyahe. Tuloy-tuloy lang, tuloy-tuloy lang. Mararating mo rin.
Anthony from the Associated Press. It's very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
The purpose really that I have brought to this visit here in New York, in the peripheries of the UN General Assembly, has been to try to reintroduce the Philippines to our American friends, both in the private sector and in the public sector. We do not want to return to whatever it is we were doing pre-pandemic. We want to be able to be involved and be vital part of the new global economy.
And he is in possession. Yan ang problema.
I want to talk for a moment about the war on drugs in the Philippines. The methods used in it during Mr. Duterte's administration were controversial, to say the least, internally and externally. And I'm interested in, can you give a sense of what your approach to that is and how, if it differs from Mr. Duterte's?
Well, it does in the sense that we have tried to learn from the lessons that we saw in the experience of President Duterte in his war on drugs. And I think one of the main lessons is that his emphasis was on enforcement. And in our analysis, enforcement only gets you so far.
Do you think that President Duterte went too far in the way he approached it?
Well, that was his emphasis. His people went too far sometimes. And we have seen many cases where policemen, other operatives, some were just shady characters that we didn't quite know where they came from and who they were working for. But now we've gone after them, and there are many instances where we can show that those who have been found guilty, those who have been convicted, have been detained, are now in jail.
This is kind of related. You've stated pretty emphatically that the Philippines should not return to the International Criminal Court.
We have a judiciary. It's not perfect. We have enforcement. The courts are functioning, and I do not understand why we need an outside adjudicator.
Kahit ako
na lang kasi matanda na ako. Siya may mga anak siya. Tsaka hindi pa siya pwede. Hindi ko kaya pa yung tanggapin eh. Bata pa si Troy.
Until now, Nanay Nancy still finds it hard to believe that his youngest son, Troy, is gone. Troy Justin Agustin was one of the rescuers who died in San Miguel, Bulacan during the onslaught of Typhoon Carding. He served as a rescuer of the Bulacan provincial team for 6 years.
Mahal niya yung trabaho niya. Nag-aral yan. Kung paano mag-rescue, kung ano yung first aid, ano yung lahat pinag-aralan niya.
The same goes for Marby Bartolome, who was a rescuer for nearly a year but still employed on a job order basis.
Araw-araw, gustong-gusto niyang pumapasok. Kahit na, alam mo yung sobra-sobra na yung pasok niya, kahit na wala na siyang bayad, sige lang. Basta pumapasok siya, okay lang sa kanya.
The NDRRMC admits they can't do anything about the current employment status of rescuers and responders. The Bulacan provincial government also has its hands tied on the matter.
Mayroon po mga limitations po under the civil service law na kinakailangan, may mga requirements din po for permanent positions. So it depends. It depends din po kung sino po yung mga taong masasakupan po nito, kung sila po'y qualified.
Because of this, the NDRRMC is pushing for the Magna Carta for disaster workers to be passed into law.
Yung mga taong nagtatrabaho na disaster risk reduction ay mabigyan ng insurance, mabigyan ng hazard pay, at mabigyan ng anumang allowance, no? And even benefits pag na-disgrasya. So isa po yan sa hakbang ng NDRIMC na itutulak natin na dapat may Magna Carta.
The Sangguniang Panlalawigan will discuss the issue about the employment status of the rescuers while the provincial government vowed to shoulder the funeral costs for the 5 victims. For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
Volleyball has become one of the country's most popular sports over the past few years. So much so that volleyball camps are now sprouting up to train those who are passionate about the sport. Mobile journalist Bel Gregorio gives us a front seat to the story.
Going pro is not the only path that awaits athletes after their collegiate career. Unconventional to most, others choose to give back by sharing what they have learned from their competitive experiences. This idea gave birth to the Heroes Volleyball Camp, founded in 2014. One of the founders shared that their vision stemmed from their belief that sports should be inclusive. This pushed them to teach those who would usually watch their games, but were hesitant to join them because of the fear that they weren't good enough.
There was an underlying question na until when are we going to watch them? Until when na i-cheer lang natin sila on the side? And then when are we going to be able to play with them?
Because the program is open to all ages, whether or not you have a volleyball background, more and more people have joined the camp. The only requirement to join is the willingness to learn and enjoy the game.
Hindi naman natin kailangan maging professional, no, para lang makapaglaro ng volleyball. It's one to build a relationship with friendship na rin.
The camp has branched out all over Metro Manila, making their unique way of playing volleyball accessible to more people.
Iba yung nagawa ng HVP na napass niya yung game sa amin, and then I was able to share it to others then, yung skills na natutunan ko.
This for them is proof that HVP is more than just a sports camp. It has grown to be a community. The next goal of its founders is to open camps nationwide to fulfill their mission of more Filipinos sharing the same love and passion for volleyball.
We treat each and every camper that comes in here in our program as heroes. They have the power to influence other people's lives and be able to, pass on their passion towards the sport.
Mobile journalist Bel Gregorio, we are One News.
And that's the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, the Philippine Star, Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more analysis. I'm Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via Signal Play. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao. Stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.